don't know about you, but since my avid Sims 3 Let's Play consuming days, I have been envious of the creators who could stick to a single save for a really long time as they made videos about the stories that played out in those households. And this was because I could never replicate that in my own game until now, as I think at long last I'm finally on the road to cracking this for myself. So hello everyone to any of my subscribers. You may be wondering who the heck I am and why I popped up in your feed today, because I know that I've been mostly absent for a while now, but I promise I have a few good reasons. First, I was finishing university. Second, your gal had to get working to earn that bag. And third, do I even need to say anything more? For the last few months since submitting my dissertation, I have been a bit obsessed with this legacy household that I'm playing in The Sims 3, and now I'm about 5 months in and I still feel just as excited to jump into the game as I did when I first started that save back in March, which is really surprising because I can only think of 1 or 2 other times when I have been this dedicated to a household in any sim game out of my around about 2,000 hours spent between The Sims 3 and 4. So while you could definitely apply some of these tips to The Sims 4, today I want to share how I have kept my game exciting and avoided getting bored, particularly in The Sims 3. So my first tip is specifically for players that are looking to start a new save which you want to stick with for a long time, and that is to begin a new save with intention. I think we've all fallen into the trap of being bored one day and just booting up a new save where you have the best intentions of sticking with it. You're really excited to play a new sim, and after a few days, or maybe even after that very first play session, you never feel inspired to return. I think a part of the reason why I have stuck with this particular save for so long stems from the fact that I was really intentional with the sim that I was starting with, and that I literally did not let myself start playing the game until I had everything figured out and was actually squealing with excitement while my game loaded. I guess this was a somewhat unique circumstance, as the day that I started this save was also the day that I submitted my undergraduate dissertation, and I had spent a good few of those last weeks that I was finishing that paper thinking about the matriarch sim that I wanted to create. You know, what she would look like, what her personality would be, etc. And during my study breaks, I had been binging Not Malcolm's Legacy and Millionaire Sims series, in which he plays in the world of Monte Vista, and that had got me super excited to play in that world, which I had brought specifically for my own new legacy. Fans of Not Malcolm may even notice that my household has moved into the same house that his Bouclair family live in now, I believe. But all of this is to say, I put actual brain power into the main sim that I started this save with, and I decided that I wanted to base her personality around my one and only D&D character who never saw the light of day during my very brief wannabe D&D gal phase. That was kind of based around Carol/Cheryl from Archer, and I wanted her aesthetic to be Stella from Winx Club. So yeah, she was a lot, but I was deeply invested in her and her story from day one. While I don't normally have that connection with those sims that I just made on a whim one day. Although this tip is a little bit more abstract, I'd say that if you want to stick with a new save for a long time, treat it almost like you're starting a new novel. As far as I understand, you wouldn't just launch into writing. Instead, if you want to go the distance, you take your time to really get into the mind of your main character. I think this is a very individual process. I, for one, have never been crazy creative in this respect, hence why I took inspiration from one of my favorite cartoons as a kid, and now one of my favorite cartoons as an adult. So bottom line here is just take your time. The Sims isn't going anywhere. So you have carefully crafted your starting sim, but what then? What do they do? What do their kids or partners do? Maybe you're trying to figure out how to revive interest in a save that you already have going. I think we often have crutches for preferred gameplay avenues we lean on when we are lacking inspiration. For me in The Sims 4, it's that rags to riches gardening sim who rakes in the cash on dragon fruits. Defaulting to these crutches can feel cozy and familiar every so so often, but depending on these too much can lead to gameplay getting stale. To avoid this, I have a running list of things that I have never done, or themes that I have never explored in The Sims 3, or at least not in a really long time. This can be rough ideas like horse scroll, or more developed storylines like Master Witch/Wizard gets to the top of the spellcasting skill, masters alchemy, builds out a witchy room which displays potions and other collectibles like gems, and also gets to the top of the fortune telling career. I have quite a few of these ideas, so let me know if you'd like to see a whole video just on that. There is an almost endless combination of what your list could contain. Much of mine is filled with some of the quote-unquote side quests from The Sims 3, like completing sections of the skill journal that I've never touched before, which more relates to progressing an individual sim, or more long-term goals like aiming to buy all the properties in town, or building a mansion which has a family crypt, like 10 plus bedrooms, and dedicated spaces for most of the skills in the game. I believe my list started during that initial kind of idea creation stage that I was talking about earlier, but it's something which I've been building out as I've been playing. Every time I have a new sim that is born, as it grows up and maybe starts to seem like it could fit one of these ideas, I'll assign one of them to them and just sort of see how things work out. Next, let's talk about lifespans. I have started playing with a modified version of a normal lifespan, where I've shortened the life stages of those that I find less fun, so those being babies, toddlers, and children, and I have slightly lengthened the young adult and adult life stages, which I find more enjoyable. This means that I am rotating through my list of unexplored ideas somewhat more frequently, so again, things never really get time to get stale before the sim of focus is moving on to the next plane of existence. If, like me, you get attached to specific sims and you want to keep them around for longer, I really suggest resisting that urge to just bump up the age span and work to keep them for longer. Trying to get the young again potion via the potions table or the lifetime reward, or even learning the alchemy skill and creating the Fountain of Youth elixir adds a great layer of challenge to your gameplay. If you own the world of Hidden Springs, you could even push yourself to buy the item Leon's Fountain of Youth, which costs just under 500,000 simoleons. Every time your sim drinks from the fountain, it adds an extra day to their life, or wishing for youth has a chance of resetting your sim's current life stage. This tip surrounds a bit more of a mindset shift. I think after playing The Sims 4 for so long, I became conditioned to expect everything to look shiny and perfect, I think just because of the game's aesthetic. But in The Sims 3, I've been consciously working to view my Sims houses as a work of progress, rather than a project which must be completed before I can enjoy gameplay. I have literally quit Sims 4 saves because I felt so overwhelmed by the prospect of needing to decorate a big mansion, but now in The Sims 3, I am enjoying having my Sims live in rooms which look like us, because I know that I'll get around to it eventually when I feel inspired to dive into the chaotically organized catalogue and the masterpiece, which is of course creator style. My final tip for never getting bored with The Sims 3 is to spice up your game with new content. On the surface, this might seem like a bit of a cop-out, but new content can mean a lot here. Yes, you could buy a new expansion pack, but they rarely go on sale, or you could even purchase some store content, and I have a video written and almost ready to go all about how to use The Sims 3 store and to get the most mileage out of those sim points coming soon, so if you're interested in that, maybe hit subscribe. But outside of this, there is a wealth of free mods and custom content which can entirely transform your experience with the game. I, for one, can't live without some of those essential NRAS mods, and I am an absolute slag for that alpha style CC hair, but there are loads of creators here on YouTube which also highlight some really cool gameplay mods, or even entire custom worlds which can help keep things fresh. So that's everything that I have for you guys today. If you have any of your own tips for how to keep your Sims 3 game exciting, please drop them down below because I, for one, would love to hear them. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a great day and I'll see you again soon.